The Pat Kenny Show on News Talk.
With Mater Private Network. During current restrictions, don't ignore your health concerns. Our expert team is ready to help.
Now, a group of residents from North East Kilkenny have come together to start a campaign called Save Our Hills. The group was established to stop the siting of large industrial-sized wind turbines in their area. They have major concerns that these turbines will spoil the unique natural beauty that surrounds them. Eric Dignan is a member of this group, and he says the quality of life in the area will be destroyed if the development goes ahead. And Eric is with me here in the Set Theatre in Langtons this morning. Eric, good morning and welcome.
Hi, Pat. Good morning. Yeah.
Now, describe what is proposed. I mean, is there a planning application in yet, or do you know the extent of what may lie ahead?
Yeah, well, we're pretty much aware of what the plan is. Actually, there's no plan gone in yet, but these things take a long time to develop. They have to do scoping exercises, and they have to do assessments and wind speed things. So, but we are privy to the fact that the plan is there, it's real, it's going ahead. We've seen the maps. They're located in a complete circle around my house. Not a complete circle, but around my house.
Yeah.
And
now, are you in a valley? Will you be overlooked by these windmills should they be constructed?
Yeah, that's a funny thing. It's like an amphitheatre, you know. We're in a hill surrounded, and unusually the turbines are being placed at the valley floor. So we're kind of going to be at head height to them. It's very
That's unusual because anywhere I've seen the turbines, they tend to be on elevated sites.
You would expect.
And therefore they're looking down on people, and if you catch them in the right light, you can see them against the skyline. I mean, that's normally where you come across them. Yeah. But you actually could be looking down on turbines.
Well, we'd be head on with them, you know. So in other words, that would be probably the amplification effect of the valley will affect us. And yeah, we'd be looking straight into it. And the rising sun in winter will have massive flicker effects. I mean, more unusual than I would think most people would expect from a regular wind farm, you know, because it's not on the horizon, it's underneath us, it's at our eye level.
Yeah, the flicker effect would be caused by the sunlight coming through these things.
Yeah, as it rises. Yeah.
So there is an aperture where the rising or setting sun would be passing light through these, and therefore you're sitting watching the telly at dusk, and you'll get flicker.
Yes, yeah. I mean, for me, it's the sun rises over Mount Leinster in the winter, in deep winter, and in summer it rises over the Wicklow Hills, and you know the whole thing is covered by wind turbines now. For me, I mean, I'm not as badly affected because I'm kind of not directly in the wind line of it, so. The prevailing winds bring sound, and they would batter everybody just upwind from it.
I remember doing a report on a wind farm and a particular windmill years ago, and I was interviewing the guy, and I said to him, by the way, is there an airfield around here? Because I can hear a plane. He says, that's not a plane, it's a turbine. And I didn't realise the sound, how it carries can have that effect rather than, you know, the whoop, whoop, whoop.
That's a really good analogy, Patrick, because, I thought the same thing. There's a local wind farm up in Bilbo. I went up there with my son just recently, and we got out of the car. It was like the very same thing, an airplane travelling overhead, but that doesn't go away. You know, it's there.
The airplane does pass.
It passes, yeah.
Okay, now, the state of these plans at the moment, you're aware that landowners have been approached. I mean, it's not the idea that they would buy up land and just put windmills on it. Farmers would continue to farm their land, one presumes, underneath these windmills, and they would lease, if you like, the right to put windmills up on the land. Is that the
Well, the plan? I mean, I'm not privy to their contracts, but that's the story. Normally, it's Coillte that are the guys who are, you know, the big landowners in this, but in this case, it's local landowners who have decided that that's what's best for them, you know, and they have contracted out their lands, and other farmers have contracted out access lands.
So this would be in the event of planning permission being given, they would have contracts to provide the sites and so on.
As far as I'm aware, they're already done. They're already in place.
Yeah, although I presume this company won't pay them unless the thing becomes a reality.
I think they've been paid already.
Oh, okay.
I start on.
What's this going to do? Because some people, they find their land is barely viable as an enterprise. The possibility of an ongoing income from a wind farm is very attractive.
Absolutely, I agree. You know, but in our valley, it's you would not call it marginal. I can see 1,000 cows from my sitting room.
So they're making money anyway.
Well, 1,000 cows is you know, it's a reasonable income. You know.
Yeah,
I would have thought.
Now, people will say, and I can anticipate them saying, "Look, this is the future. We're going to have to replace fossil fuels with alternative energies. Some of that could be solar when the panels become super efficient, that even in, cloudy Ireland, there'll be energy coming from that. And they could be large panels and the cattle could be grazing underneath, but they wouldn't be, an eyesore like the windmills you might think are. But one way or the other, we're going to have to build these kinds of bits of infrastructure. And the message to you, Eric, would be get with the programme.
Yeah, well, it's not just an eyesore, Pat. That's a valid point, but it's also the effect it has on people's. People get hit by sound waves. There's huge sound off these all the time. There's a noticeable devaluation of properties in the area, depopulation. We have other things to contend with besides just a visual aspect of this. And yes, it is the future, sure. But are they in the right place? You have to bring communities along with you, I would have thought, for this to be a success. Otherwise, it's not going to work, You have to have...
I mean, I've been talking to some people who are developing offshore wind farms off Kinsale, and that'll become a reality in a few years' time. And they're saying that one of the issues is that we will be producing a surplus of wind power, and we'll have to either export it through connectors, or else we're going to have to generate hydrogen from it or do something in order to conserve it and use it. Is your argument that you don't need any more land-based wind farms? Is that, or is it specific to your area of natural beauty?
Well, I mean, it's right now today. It's my area of my specific area of natural beauty. But I mean, I'm just a representative of one community. There are many other communities around the county and around the country that are facing into this, and they're not happy about it, Pat. They're being subjected to things that they...
Now, people will say, look, this is NIMBYism. Some people don't like the idea of a factory being built beside them, and so on and so forth, and that if it wasn't affecting you, you wouldn't be bothered by, who else has a windmill on their doorstep.
Yeah, I mean, that's, probably unfair because, as a NIMBYism is related to things that, okay, like you say, it's a thing that's cast in our direction, But I mean, who says about the developers? I mean, they come in, they just waltz in, and they say they call the shots. They say we're putting up these wind turbines, and we have to defend ourselves against them, Pat.
The company is a French company, I believe. Is that so?
It's a French EDF.
EDF,
is the name of them. Nuclear company. With a renewable...
Okay, they're an energy company, and however they generate it, be it nuclear or alternative or whatever it might be. However, the one saving grace that you will have is that presumably when a planning application goes in, you will make your case to the planning board, to the local planners, to the planning board, and ultimately probably for a development like this, an oral hearing.
Yeah, well, our area has gone from being closed to consideration for wind farms to, on the new planning, the new county development plan, it's open it's wide open. So they've thrown open the uplands of Kilkenny, and the council are obviously informed for taking the rates off these things and inviting them in to fulfil targets. So,
your group, which is a group of concerned people in the area, and you have an identity, therefore, that is opposing these. Have you had any talks with EDF at all? I mean, have their representatives talked to your representatives?
No. I sent them an email a couple of months back and just got a response saying that they haven't got any decision on the investment, and they'll engage with us at a future point if they decide to go ahead with it. But of course, that's a bit misleading because they have already. We can see that they've invested heavily in it, And
so anyway, you're getting your action in preemptively. You're getting ready, you will be prepared with all your objections and arguments in advance of any planning process.
Well, these bigger wind farms, Pat, they're set up so they can go straight to strategic investment. So on board Pleanála, in other words. So if it goes down board Pleanála, we get 5 weeks.
So you have to be ready.
So you've got to be ready. If you're not ready, it's just going to be over.
Because it's likely that, like all big developers, they will have multiple consultants working away. You'll be looking at probably thousands of pages of documents. That's the reality of such a planning application.
Yeah, and these a lot of the companies that are carrying out the surveys, they won't even deal with us because they're on retainers or they don't want to talk to us. They have it. I think it's sewn up.
How many, finally, windmills do you think are proposed? I know the detail is not revealed yet.
They have 10, yeah.
10?
Yeah.
And how many people would be affected by that, or how many homesteads?
Immediately in the vicinity, it's like a 2-kilometre radius. We've done maps on our saveourhills.ie website. You can go and visit it, and it'll show you the map. At least 129 houses in a 2-kilometre radius of these, and possibly more, as we're not 100% sure of the exact locations. We're fairly sure.
All right. Well, we will keep an eye on this process as it evolves. Eric Duignan, member of the Save Our Hills group. Eric, thank you very much for joining us in studio today, in our temporary studio in the Set Theatre in Kilkenny.